Imagine you've been running for years, not literally, but emotionally, mentally. You've been chasing something. Maybe it's success, maybe it's love, maybe it's approval from people who don't even think about you before bed. You tell yourself, once I get that promotion, I'll be happy. Once they finally respect me, I'll feel peace. Once I find the right person, I'll be complete. So you run faster. You try harder. You sacrifice more. But here's the thing about chasing. The thing no one tells you. When you're always chasing something, you're also always telling yourself that where you are right now isn't good enough. That who you are right now isn't enough. And that feeling, it doesn't go away when you catch what you're chasing. It just finds something new to chase. Today we're going to talk about something that might sound counterintuitive. We're going to talk about why the secret to getting everything you actually want starts with one simple decision. Stop chasing, not stop wanting, not stop growing. Stop chasing, because there's a difference, a profound difference, and once you understand it, your entire life can shift. Let's walk through this together. Think about the last time you really wanted something you thought would change everything. Maybe it was a job, maybe it was a relationship, maybe it was a number on a screen, likes, followers, views, telling you that you matter. Remember how it felt in your body. The tightness, the anxiety, the way you kept checking, hoping, refreshing, waiting. Remember how much space it took up in your mind, how it followed you into the shower, into bed, into moments that should have been peaceful. That feeling, that relentless grip, that's what chasing does. It convinces you that something outside of you holds the key to something inside of you. And so you hand over your peace. You hand over your present moment. You hand over your happiness, and you say, "Here, take it. I'll wait right here until you give me what I want." But here's what the Stoics understood thousands of years ago. Epictetus, the man who was born with nothing, and became one of history's wisest voices, put it simply. He said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Chasing, by its very nature, is about things beyond your control. You can't control whether you get the job. You can't control whether someone loves you back. You can't control whether the world applauds you or ignores you. So when you chase, you're essentially tying your peace to things that can be taken away at any moment. You're building your house on sand. The Stoics suggested something different. They suggested building your house on rock, on things that cannot be taken. Your character, your choices, your integrity, your response to whatever life throws at you. This isn't about becoming cold or giving up on dreams. It's about relocating your center of gravity from outside you to inside you. Modern psychology backs this up in fascinating ways. There's something called the hedonic treadmill. Researchers noticed that humans have a baseline level of happiness. When something good happens, a promotion, a new relationship, a big purchase, we get a spike in happiness. But over time, we always return to our baseline. The new car becomes just the car. The new relationship becomes just normal life. The promotion just means more stress and different problems. So we get on the treadmill again. We start chasing the next thing, believing that this time it will be different. This time it will finally be enough. But the treadmill doesn't go anywhere. It just keeps moving under your feet. This is why so many people who achieve everything they once dreamed of look around and feel empty. They spent years chasing, only to discover that the chase itself was the problem. They were so focused on the destination that they never learned how to be present for the journey. There's another psychological concept called extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation is when you do things for external rewards, money, praise, status, approval. Chasing is almost always extrinsically motivated. You want the thing because of what it will give you outside yourself. Intrinsic motivation is when you do things because they matter to you, because they align with your values, because the activity itself is meaningful. Research is clear. People who are intrinsically motivated are happier, more resilient, and more fulfilled. They're also often more successful, but that's not why they do what they do. They do it because it's worth doing. So the question becomes, what are you chasing? And more importantly, why? Let's talk about relationships for a moment, because this is where chasing does some of its deepest damage. When you chase someone's love, when you try to earn their affection, when you perform and prove and hope they'll finally choose you, something tragic happens. You lose yourself. You start saying yes when you want to say no. You start hiding parts of yourself that you think they won't like. You start shape-shifting into whoever you think they want you to be. And here's the cruel irony. People don't fall in love with shapeshifters. They can't, because there's nothing solid there to hold on to. The very thing you're doing to try to keep them is the thing that makes real connection impossible. The Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus taught that we should love people as they are, not as we wish them to be. But the reverse is also true. You deserve to be loved as you are, not as someone else wishes you to be. When you stop chasing love, you don't stop opening your heart. You just stop trying to force it. You stop trying to convince people to stay. You stop begging for attention from people who aren't giving it freely. You realize that love, real love, isn't something you catch. It's something that grows naturally between two people who aren't trying to catch anything, who are just present, just themselves, just willing to let things unfold. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Remember that to change your mind and to follow someone's correction is consistent with your own freedom. For the action is yours alone, done according to your own impulse and judgment. In other words, you are always free, even when relationships change, even when people leave, even when things don't work out. Your freedom to choose your response, to choose your path, to choose yourself, that never goes away unless you give it away." Now let's talk about success, because this is where chasing is most socially rewarded. We live in a culture that worships the chase. Grind culture, hustle culture, the idea that you should be working, striving, climbing every single moment of every single day. And look, ambition isn't bad. Wanting to create something meaningful isn't bad. But when ambition becomes chasing, when your worth becomes tied to your output, when you can't rest because you're afraid of falling behind, you've crossed a line. The Stoics had a word for this. They called it eudaimonia. It's often translated as happiness, but it really means something closer to human flourishing. Living well, being fully alive. And here's what they understood. You cannot flourish while you're chasing, because chasing keeps you in a state of lack, a state of not enough, a state of deferring your life to some future moment when you'll finally have what you want. Seneca, who was one of the richest men in Rome, wrote something startling. He said, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough. and it's given in sufficient measure to do something great if we invest it well. But when you're chasing, you're not investing your life. You're spending it. You're trading your present moments for future promises that may never come. What would it look like to work without chasing, to create without clinging to outcomes, to strive while staying rooted in the present? It would look like doing good work because the work matters, building something because the building is meaningful, helping people because people need help, not because of what it will get you, but because of who it makes you in the process. That's the shift. From chasing outcomes to honoring the process. From running after happiness to allowing happiness to grow where you're standing. There's a story about the Buddha that captures this perfectly. A man came to him and said, "I want happiness." The Buddha said, "First, remove I, that's ego, then remove want, that's desire, and then you're left with happiness." The Stoics would have nodded along, because they understood that the self, the grasping, wanting self, is exactly what stands in the way of peace. When you stop chasing, you don't become passive. You don't stop moving. You just stop being desperate. You stop being controlled by fear of not having enough, not being enough, not getting enough. You start moving from a different place, from wholeness instead of lack, from enoughness instead of never enough, from presence instead of always somewhere else. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you move from that place, you often end up getting more of what you actually wanted in the first place. Not because you chased it, but because you became the kind of person who attracts it. People are drawn to those who are whole. Opportunities come to those who are grounded. Love finds those who aren't desperately searching for it. But even if it doesn't, even if the external rewards never come, you're still okay, because your peace was never tied to them in the first place. So how do you actually do this? How do you stop chasing when everything around you says chase harder? It starts with awareness. Just noticing when you're gripping too tight, noticing when your happiness depends on something outside you, noticing when you're running and don't even know what you're running toward. Then it moves to questioning. You can ask yourself, what am I really looking for here? If I got this thing, what would I hope it would give me? And then, can I give that to myself right now? If you're chasing success, maybe what you really want is to feel capable, worthy, like you matter. Can you feel capable right now? Can you remind yourself that your worth isn't tied to your next achievement? If you're chasing love, maybe what you really want is to feel seen, accepted, safe. Can you offer those things to yourself? Can you be the one who sees you, accepts you, keeps you safe? This isn't about isolation. It's about sovereignty. It's about becoming a full person so that when you do connect with others, you're connecting from strength, not from need. The Stoics called this self-sufficiency, not needing nothing from anyone, but not being controlled by what you need. Being able to stand on your own so that relationships can be about sharing, not completing. Here's your practice for the next 7 days. Every time you notice yourself chasing something, wanting something, needing something outside you to feel okay, pause. Just pause, take a breath, and ask yourself one question. What would it feel like to already have what I'm looking for? Not to pretend you have it, but to connect with the feeling you're really after. Peace, maybe. Worth. Love, safety, whatever it is, let yourself feel it for just a moment without needing anything to change. Then go about your day, not chasing, just living, just being, just moving from that place of enoughness instead of lack. Notice what shifts. Notice how people respond to you differently. Notice how much lighter you feel when you're not carrying the weight of all that wanting. And if you slip back into chasing, because you will, we all do, just notice that too, without judgment, without shame. Just notice and gently return. This isn't about perfection. It's about practice. It's about slowly, over time, relocating your center of gravity from outside to inside, from chasing to being, from running to arriving. Marcus Aurelius wrote near the end of his life, "A man's true delight is to do the things he was made for, and he was made for kindness, for integrity, for acting in harmony with nature, not for chasing, not for grasping, not for accumulating, for being fully, completely, authentically himself." That's available to you too, right now, not after you get the thing, not when you finally arrive. Right now, you can stop running, you can stop chasing, you can stop handing your peace over to things that don't deserve it. You can just be here, fully, completely, alive to this moment, and from that place, you can move. Not because you have to, but because you want to. Not because you're desperate, but because you're free. If this video meant something to you, here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, practice not chasing. Just notice when you're gripping too tight. Just pause, just breathe, and see what happens. Then come back and tell me about it in the comments. I want to know what shifts for you. I want to know what you discover about yourself when you're not running all the time. And if you want more content like this, videos that help you live with more peace, more presence, more freedom, hit that like button and subscribe. We're building something real here. A community of people choosing depth over distraction, wholeness over chasing, one day at a time. Thank you for watching. Now go live your life. Not the one you're chasing, the one that's already here. See you in the next video.